wanted to read a story that's called The Longest Day by Wendy Pfeffer. As summer approaches in the northern part of the world, bison shed their heavy coats. Mountain goats climb to sunny pastures, and with a splash of color, butterflies emerge from silky cocoons. At this time of year, the sun appears early each morning, rises higher into the sky each day, and lingers long into evening. Days become longer and warmer, and crops grow and ripen. Families fill playgrounds and parks. They picnic under an umbrella of green leaves, play baseball, volleyball, or just nap in the warm sunshine. Children can ride bikes and play outdoor games for hours in the evening with the sun still in the sky. Around June 21st, the first day of summer, as Earth moves in its orbit, the northern half of the Earth tilts toward the sun, and so it gets more sunshine than the southern half. The first day of summer, called the summer solstice, has more daylight hours than any other day of the year, making it the longest day. The sun, spreading warmth and light, has always been important to people. Warm sunshine and more daylight hours make for a good growing season to supply life-giving food. I wanted to zoom in on the page here that has all this information about the way that the Earth orbits around the sun and what they're talking about with the North Pole of the Earth either tilting toward the sun or over here in the winter solstice time, the North Pole of the Earth is tilted away from the sun. Now, it's not that the Earth actually changes its tilt. The Earth is always tilted the same way in space. And in fact, the way that it's tilted is actually just simply that it's pointing toward what randomly happens to be out there in outer space, right above, so to speak, where the North Pole is pointed. It's the North Star. So the North Pole is always just oriented in one certain direction in space, and it randomly happens to be that way up there, that's where the North Star happens to be. So the Earth is always tilted in the same direction as the Earth orbits around the sun. So what that means is, and sometimes in the year, the North Pole is tilted to the side of where the sun is tilted. It's not pointed towards the sun, not pointed away from the sun, but tilted towards the side. The sun's not tilted. At any rate, let's read on and make some more sense of this. The sun was so valuable to people who lived in ancient times that some considered it one of their gods. Egyptians believed their sun god, Re, sailed in a golden boat across the sky. In Mesopotamia, the people imagined their sun god, Shamash, had a chauffeur drive him across the sky. Each morning, Shamash would come out of the door of the east and travel across the sky to the door of the west. Then, Shamash would travel underground all night to arrive at the door of the east again in the morning. The Greeks thought that their sun god Apollo drove a chariot through the heavens, and the sun was one of its blazing wheels. Early people observed and recorded how the sun appeared to move through the sky. They used many methods to chart the sun's path. Ancient Greeks measured the shadows of a tall pillar. The shortest shadow occurred on the longest day in summer, when the midday sun was high in the sky. The longest shadow appeared on the shortest day in winter, when the midday sun was low in the sky. The Chumash Indians of California painted a sunburst around an opening in the ceiling of a cave. They called it the House of the Sun. During mid-afternoon on the longest day, the sun's rays streamed through the opening. When sunlight beamed on a quartz crystal wedged in the ground, the Chumash Indians welcomed the summer solstice. 5,000 years ago in England, people began building structures to mark these special times of the year. One prehistoric monument, Stonehenge, consists of a circle of stones. Some line up with the summer solstice, sunrise, and others line up with the winter solstice, sunset. Over a period of 1,500 years, workers hauled and rafted heavy bluestones and sandstones over 100 miles to Stonehenge. Some stones were as long as a school bus and weighed 50 tons. That's heavier than 8 large elephants. Using rollers, ramps, and ropes, they set each massive stone in place. No one knows who these amazing builders were, or how they moved gigantic stones such long distances. But we do know that they did it to celebrate the sun. Similar yet puzzling stone structures cover Mystery Hill in New Hampshire. Some call it America's Stonehenge. While Stonehenge is neatly arranged, Mystery Hill is a jumble of stones, many etched with ancient inscriptions. Some scholars think it was built by an unknown civilization between 2,000 and 5,000 years ago. Early on June 21st, visitors flocked to Mystery Hill. They watched the sun come up over Sunrise Stone, marking the beginning of the longest day. In Wyoming during mid-June, thousands of people hike up Medicine Mountain to see Bighorn Medicine Wheel. Scientists and archaeologists believe the Plains Indians constructed this 80-foot wide circle of rocks between 200 and 800 years ago. 28 spokes radiate out from a central hub. One spoke points to the summer solstice sunrise, another to the summer solstice sunset. Over 700 years ago in Lithuania, villagers celebrated the longest day by washing their faces with morning dew, then singing, dancing, and feasting. They coated a wheel with tar, covered it with straw, and set it ablaze on top of a hill to symbolize the sun at its highest point in the sky. Then they rolled it down a hill toward the river to symbolize the sun moving through the sky. If the wheel was still burning as it hit the water, they believed the summer sun would produce a bountiful harvest. Today, Lithuanians and people in many other countries celebrate St. John's Day on June 24th with festivities from sun up to sundown. The days around the summer solstice have been called midsummer since long ago times. Since June 21st is midway between May and August, it is called midsummer. On Midsummer Eve, ancient Germanic tribes built fires. They thought fire would help the sun warm the earth and drive away unwanted spirits. They believed the bigger the fires, the further away those spirits would move. Couples jumped over the fires, hoping that summer crops would grow as high as they jumped. In Bohemia, now known as the Czech Republic, girls made wreaths with flowers. Boys collected sticks and branches and built a bonfire. Girls stood on one side of the blaze and boys on the other. Each girl held up her wreath and looked through its center to decide whom she may want to marry. She then threw her wreath across the fire to that boy. They believed the singed wreaths would protect them against sickness the next year. On land that lies above the Arctic Circle, the sun shines for 24 hours on June 21st. In Sweden, it is called the day that never ends. During the Middle Ages, on Midsummer Day, Swedish families decorated houses and barns with greens to bring good fortune and health. They stripped branches off a tall spruce tree and decorated it with garlands of flowers. Today in Sweden, every town sets up a midsummer pole, strewn with streamers, flowers, flags, and greens. Villagers wear folk costumes, play traditional music, and dance around the pole. Young people each pick 8 different flowers. They put them under their pillows at night, hoping to dream about their future spouse. Each year, the people of Nome, Alaska, celebrate the summer solstice with a midnight sun festival. On June 21st, the sun shines for more than 22 hours there. People parade, barbecue chicken, and dance in the streets. If the frozen ice is broken up in the Bering Sea, the annual Polar Bear Swim is held. Brave people dip their entire bodies in almost freezing water to celebrate the longest day. Many people enjoy the heat of summer and outdoor summertime activities and sports. On hot summer days, children can wiggle wet toes in squishy sand, giggle with friends under a sprinkler, and grow sunflowers that turn slowly all day to keep facing the sun. At twilight, that time between daylight and darkness, after the sun sinks below the horizon, children can gaze at a few bright stars twinkling above and plan another day of fun in the sun. During the hot weather, the days shorten and summer soon ends. Leaves fall, cool winds blow. Bison start growing heavier coats. Mountain goats wander down to windless pastures, and monarch butterflies migrate south to the warm skies of Mexico. The Earth continues on its orbit around the sun until the next June, when people in the northern part of the Earth will once again enjoy the summer solstice and the longest day of the year. So that's the story part of the book. But now there's a little section here that's called Solstice Facts. So I wanted to read a couple of these facts to you. As the Earth travels around the sun, seasons change because the Earth tilts toward the sun or away from the sun. As the Earth moves in its orbit, the sun appears to move higher or lower in the sky. The word solstice comes from Latin, where sol means sun and sister means stomp. A solstice occurs when the sun seems to stop moving away from the equator and starts traveling back toward it. Around June 21st, the North Pole leans toward the sun. The sun's rays, aimed at the northern hemisphere, are strong and direct. The sun appears to be high in the sky. It takes it a long time to move from the place where it rises to the place where it sets. Many hours of sunshine make it the longest day of the year. On that day, the summer solstice, summer begins. On December 21st, the winter solstice, the sun's rays do not shine directly on the northern hemisphere. There, the sun appears to be low in the sky. It takes the sun only a short time to move across the sky from where it rises to the place where it sets. Few hours of sunshine make it the shortest day of the year. On that day, the winter solstice, winter begins. So I wanted to show you something that's in the newspaper every day. And it's a way that you can kind of keep track of what they're talking about with this longest day, shortest day thing. So I get a paper every morning, and so this is just in the regular newspaper. If not, if you don't have a paper, you could simply use an app to look for like any of the weather apps will show you the sunrise and the sunset times, and then you can take a look at how long the sun is going to be up in the sky. So this is from yesterday, Sunday, May 3rd. And right here, it says that the sun was going to be rising yesterday at 6:10 a.m. and it would set at 7:59 p.m. Then underneath that is a little section where it says hours of sunlight. I'm going to hold that up close so that way you can see it. It's right here by my finger. So the top row is for yesterday and the bottom row is for today, but you can see how the time for the sunrise and the sunset is changing ever so slightly from day to day. So yesterday then, on Sunday, the hours of sunlight were 13 hours and 49 minutes. So if I look at today's paper, still wrapped up, the dogs actually bring it in for me every day. It's kind of a cool thing. The dogs run out and get the paper and bring it right in. Look at this. So today, the hours of sunlight have, dun, 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 increased. Check it out right there. Hours of sunlight, 13 hours. Oh, no, I can't remember what it said. Hours of sunlight right there by my finger. 13 hours, 51 minutes. So yesterday again, it was 13 hours, 49 minutes. And today, 13 hours, 51 minutes. 49 yesterday, 51 today. In other words, it's going up, right? So the hours of sunlight are increasing from day to day. So according to all of what we just read, they're going to keep increasing until we reach what day? Dun, 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 the longest day. They're going to keep increasing until we reach the longest day, which is going to be June 21st, the day of the summer solstice. So if you want to keep track of that, I highly recommend it. It's kind of cool. You just write it down on a piece of paper. You use your science notebook to jot it down and just write down, here's the day, here's how many hours of sunlight there are. Here's the next day. Here's how many hours of sunlight, and see how that changes. Kind of a cool thing. I hope that this helps to pique your interest in learning a little bit more about different times of the year and the amount of sunlight that we have on different times of the year. And I hope that you find this interesting, and I hope this helps you answer some questions about what's the big deal about the Earth's orbit around the sun. There definitely are some very interesting things about the Earth's orbit, and this is one of those little pieces of that puzzle. Have a great day. I hope to see you soon. Bye.